Well, I grew up in Maung. Maung is a very cosmopolitan village, town. So I grew up in a nuclear family. Botswana culture, three-state system, lands and cattle post. But I was raised in a very stable environment, very big family with the Ramsons and the Peacocks. So I think I had a very happy childhood with a lot of cousins, a lot of creatives in the family. So I had a very happy childhood. I wanted to be a lot of things, and I still want to be a lot of things. I don't think I've ever been the kind of person who wants to box themselves. I think as you grow up, the dreams that you're always pursuing, always wanted to be a musician, and then I wanted to be a poet. At some point I wanted to be a literature teacher, a history teacher. Yeah. Those are dreams that I might still pursue though, you know. And I like to travel, I like to journal, so naturally I want to be a writer at some point. Yeah, and I want to be a mom and a wife soon, I hope. As soon as Prince Charming shows up, we will get married and have kids. But I do see myself as a wife. I do see myself as a mother. I can't say I'm traditional, but I'm a romantic. A lot of people like to think when you're ambitious, you don't have those aspirations. I have aspirations of having a family that could be exemplary to other families and be able to restore other people and be able to just, you know, commune with other couples and other families. Well, I decided I was going to be a beauty queen after I had a bet with my dad, because at that time I was a tomboy. So my dad said I couldn't do it. It's just a bet, you know, just a challenge. We have a very close relationship. So when he said that, I said, I'm going to show this man. And I started to save up money when I was at university, and I paid for pro models. So I put myself through modeling school with my allowance at school, and eventually managed to become first princess in 2003, Miss Botswana, and then became Miss Botswana in 2004. It was an incredible experience, but you must also remember that I was a very controversial queen. Yeah. Well, the controversy emanated from the fact that one of the organizers was my cousin, which is kind of surprising because we are all related in Botswana, such a small population. Yeah, and also that I was colored or mixed. Most Botswana didn't think I deserved to win because of the racial issue. So I think the controversy was twofold. Yeah, so that was where it really came from. It's a lot of attention at a very young age. When I won, I was 19, going on 20, and I was from a rural village. And I was obviously, if you come from a rural village, you are very grounded, and I have a very close relationship with my family. But I don't think I had a lot of lessons in my year. Just, you know, the media would write, ooh, she doesn't have new clothes, or the beauty queen doesn't have a wardrobe, you know. So I think beauty queens going into that field need to have a lot of emotional intelligence, because that's gonna break you. Because what I'm seeing now is some of those young people going out with married men, going out with businessmen, and this will always eat up their reputation in the future. So I think emotional intelligence and a bit of integrity, you know, we're not in a cattle sale, yeah. We have to be women of integrity, and we have to use those platforms the right way and build on them for our future. But I think overall it was such a good exposure. At the time, I got to travel a lot with the president at the time, promoting Botswana's diamonds. And immediately after I finished my reign, I became an ambassador for Botswana's diamonds. Well, I think knowing Festus Mogae as the president, he was the kind of president who was very open-minded. And I had seen him when I was at university during my first year, and we used to have, he would come into the auditorium and you would be able to have a debate with him about the current status of our economy. And I think when I won and I became Miss Botswana, and at the time we were really recognized, and we would be able to sit with him, be able to travel with him to Botswana Week, for example, in Japan, and be able to meet him in forums where we were discussing diamonds. And it was a very inspiring and humbling experience, because he's a very intelligent man, and he's a fatherly figure, and he always wants to bring you up and encourage you and just have a laugh with you. Yeah. I've always toyed with music. I'm a songwriter from a very young age, and I've always thought it's a bit unfair because sometimes I can get a whole song in a dream and I will go sit down and write everything down. You know, it's like you're copying something. The other creatives have to go and wreck their brains. Yeah, I just wake up and write. So it's sort of like cheating. Yeah, so the dream was born when I was a young girl, and it's since grown, and I've challenged myself to go into poetry because I was hanging around a lot of creatives, and they said, you know what, you are an artist, so try poetry, and I've since gone into poetry. I am part of the Poet Abango spoken word movement. I'm the public relations officer, actually. Yeah, so it's an incredible movement for artists. In our foundations, we focused a lot on literary arts, which is writing and poetry, but we've since embraced all the arts, going from literature to comedy to spoken word to theater. So we have since just embraced all the arts, and we're trying to create a platform for young artists who have not been recognized to be able to show themselves to the world and create a network where artists can come and work network and build their careers and travel and go to other places where the other poets and where the other artists are coming from. Well, some of my highlights was recording for Badalisha Poetry Exchange. My work is now published in the online Badalisha magazine website. Yeah, and recently, last week actually, the Kalahari Review published 4 of my poems, which was a great experience for me because my poetry is kind of different from the norm. I don't romanticize the romantic type of poetry much, love and drugs and sex. I can dab on those topics, but I like to go to things that affect me directly. I'm a health professional, so I'll go into malaria, I'll go into HIV, I'll go into gender-based violence. You know, I'll dig into that. So I was very excited to have my work published with the Kalahari Review. Yeah, I have an upcoming single called Mara. Mara is actually short for Marang, Marangalitati. And this is a song about an orphan who is adopted into her own family, which is very abusive. And and eventually somebody finds her and adopts her, but it's a story, it's like a song poem about a story about this young girl and her journey, and just God giving her hope that she will, you know, have a new day, the sun will rise again, and eventually she gets adopted by another family. It's actually on studio right now getting mixed, so I hope to have it out mid-June. I am a very political poet, so my inspiration also comes from the political struggles that we have. Yeah, and like I already mentioned that my workplace, I'm a health professional, I'm a clinical social worker. The things that people struggle with, that pain, and then the struggles that we have as women, as society, that's where I draw my inspiration from. And obviously coming from Maung and being so close to nature, that will always inspire me. But you know, most of all, my inspiration will always be drawn from God, because I'm a very spiritual person. And you know, I want people to experience the relationship that I have with God. Not to boast or to make myself look super special or anything, but it's real, and I want them to be able to see that God is real and He's here and is trying to reach out to us and be able to just help people heal in that sense. I do a lot of work with the community because I really believe, well, the cliche sayings that to those who much has been given, much is expected. And it's very, very important. It was important for me even when I was Miss Botswana, because I was the first Miss Botswana to come from Ngamiland, that I need to open those spaces and opportunities for young girls coming from my region. And I can't take all the credit to say that all the people who have come from Ngamiland were because of my influence, but I am so glad that I played a role in that, in paving the way for that. Now, I do a lot of community work with schools. I do a lot of community work with pediatric AIDS. Very passionate about pediatric AIDS. I've worked extensively with the Bela Teen Club in Mahala Bay and in Maui, and now I work with the Mata Project in Molapolole, because this is the issues that we're having in our country now. We have a lot of HIV, and it's not going anywhere. So many dynamic issues around that. But what we're still having is children being infected and affected by HIV, and And I think it ties up with that song, you know, that as Botswana we need to wake up to the thing that we need to adopt children. We need to give children homes, you know, we need to father our children, we need to mother our children, because if we don't react now, we're going to have a situation like other parts of the world where we're having a lot of crime, where we're having a lot of broken families. Is already happening here, but that we, you know, we are a woven society and we need to take our place when somewhere somehow we have failed as a nation. And I think that's what it's all about. I'm ecstatic. Just getting the opportunity to be a Mandela Washington Fellow, and being in New York, which is the artist city of the world. I really can't find the words for it. We see it on TV, but I want to be around that atmosphere as a creative and be able to learn more, because my passion is about being able to help artists come out of that shell of just being creative, but seeing that we can impact the world. And I always say, like, you know, when South Africa was going through apartheid, you know, Bo Miriam Makeba and Bo, I forgot the other jazz guy, they were all around the world spreading the music of that liberation through the arts. And this is where I want to take Botswana. You know, I want to see artists be more responsible. I want to end this era of poor artists where people are dying, you know, poor as artists. So I want to go and tap into, you know, being an artist entrepreneur, being an artist activist, and also just learning how to be able to run my own NGO, because I want to start an NGO to empower artists to just come out and brand themselves and go after their dreams and impact the world. Yeah. Well, it means that we need to be able to interpret what we've been through as a nation, and that for me speaks more as a literary artist. I feel that as a nation, and I don't know if this is appropriate, that we don't have enough literature to define us as a people. We are a people who are still discovering ourselves. And I think celebrating this is us trying to discover that more and tap into that more. But I'm very excited as an artist though, because I go around the city and everywhere I am, even with the recent Mighty Song Festival, I am seeing artists coming into themselves. And I was saying last night that, you know, Gaborone is becoming a little Sophia town. And that's what it's about. It's about the culture booming everywhere and people, you know, expressing themselves and expressing what we're going through as a nation. So I think it's a very happy and exciting time as a nation, and we should really just go out and just have fun and just be wild. My most significant items are two. Yeah, two for my two younger brothers, because they're the most precious people to me right now. And it's because they're an extension of who I am. They share the same values that I do, and they themselves are creatives, very humble men of integrity. And I just have a vision that they're going to be great men. And my position and my impact in their life is very important, because they're coming into themselves, and I'm trying to leave my little print in them to be the kind of men that I hope that they would become, because the world right now it's not a good place for young men. I have a poem that I want to recite for you. I don't know which one right now. Yeah. This next poem is called Okavango. It's a poem that I did for the listing of the Okavango Delta by UNESCO in 2014, and I love it so much. Behold, creation speaks with serene whispers of nature, echoes of Eden untamed and alive. Water is never steady, bubbling through in full-bodied motions. Babblings of laughter refreshed by spring green waters, awakening the soul and letting out sweet sighs as we behold the beauty of the Okavango Delta. A more stunning scenery than this I'm yet to behold, caressing all my senses and possessing me with its enchanting beauty. Lovers walk barefoot in the deep green luster. Their love they nurture as nature enveloped them in her bosom. Aesthetics cannot compare with the fine artistry and the beauty you are. A five-fingered masterpiece woven perfectly between borders. The heart leaps with joy at the splendor of your majestic inland rivers, a paradise of scenery only dreams are made of. Rivers of passion evokes emotions that cannot be summed in words. 1,000 honeymoons you are, collecting both creeks and streams of water from the Zambezi to the Chobe, bringing both lust and love to our shores. Instincts are heightened and anxieties subsided. When the mighty rivers cloak me with their beauty, I sing lullabies. My melody is soprano in a wild orchestra of eagles and lions. Our songs awaken the spirit of ancestors who paid bonfires in these banks. Many waters cannot quench my love for you. Many waters cannot quench my love for the Okavango Delta, a paradise sought.